Blog Talk Radio.
On today's podcast, we'll have Gerald McRath in the studio. McRath played 4 seasons for the NFL's Tennessee Titans. As a linebacker, he recorded 120 tackles in his career. We'll talk to McRath about how he overcame his depression problems and how what most would consider a nightmare, the event that actually turned his life around, starting now.
Oh, good to be back.
From the training facility to the field with ability, athletes are working hard, the progression is stressing, people are obsessing with the passing. The smell of the grass and the pain and the action, the focus, the passion, the thought of the plaque and the trophy all made out to your name. It's a money, it's a fame, it's a feeling to get when you're playing the game. What's the number on their back and the representative name? It's MJ playing way back in the day, it's glory, it's scoring. This is story, this is Sports Nation, it's been this way for generations. Pro Sports Extras, where I get my information. Athletes with their pursuits and endeavors, sports will entertain the whole world. It'll be this way forever. And for more of that, we going live to Trevor, the expert.
How is it going? Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, ProSportsExtra.com. I am glad to bring you our first podcast. I'm very excited tonight. We will have Gerald McRath, former Tennessee Titan, coming into the studio and chatting to us about his life after football, his life coaching, and his playing time as a Tennessee Titan. We'll go over that and much more tonight on our first podcast. All right, so we're just going to start into this right away. We're going to jump into the NBA tonight. We got 2 matchups. We have the Warriors and the Rockets starting at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, and the Thunder and Clippers at 10:30 tonight. Them are the 2 games that are on tonight. We're just waiting for McRath to call into the studio, and we'll get started with him as soon as possible. But for now, we will just kind of go over a couple things that happened in the world of sports over the past couple of days. So last night, Kristaps Porzingis of the New York Knicks came out and said, I'm tired. I'm so tired right now. I have 1 day to rest my legs and get back and play better and have more energy and try to bring the team's energy up. We're in a tough stretch. The mental part doesn't help you at all. When it's mentally tough, you don't have it in you. Personally, myself, that quote, it doesn't seem too bad because it is honest. They have such a long season, but Kristaps, you're the star of the Knicks. This is your 3rd season. This is your first season when you're actually the first option, like the main option, and you're coming out and saying this now. For Knicks fans, I really wouldn't be worried because Porzingis, as everyone knows, is a hell of a player. On the other hand, why would you come out and say something like that just because of the fact, the media is going to take that into their own hands? You're 22 years old. You came in the league 3 years ago, and you're already complaining about how sore you are. But maybe this is something where you see like Greg Popovich taking players and benching them, sitting them through games throughout the regular season. Maybe this is something that more teams will have to look into. But the game has changed a lot. It's more fast-paced, and that's really what the Knicks are. Is they're a fast-paced team, and it has definitely took the toll on Porzingis. Right now this season, he's averaging just below 24 points a game. Same amount of minutes as last year. We're only 32 games into the season. We're not even to the All-Star break yet, and Porzingis is talking about this, which is kind of reluctant, you could say. It's a little bit different. This is the first NBA player this season that's really came out and talked about how the game has affected them, which is weird. And then also last night, the Lakers, Kyle Kuzma, rookie, the guy who really the star for the Lake Show right now. Lonzo Ball has been injured. And Kuzma came out last night after the Thunder killed the Lakers 133-96 Kuzma came out and said, "We gave up." You could see they got basket after basket. We had no resistance on them, the defensive end and offensive end. When things got tough, we tried to do it individually, and you just can't do that in this league. They took a little lead, and we just went to being selfish on the floor. We didn't compete on defense. They killed us. To lose by nearly 40, it's embarrassing to be out there. Wow. Kuzma paced the Lakers with 18 points in the loss. Like I said, Lonzo missed another game. This is his 6th straight due to a shoulder injury. LA has now lost 8 consecutive games and 11 out of its past 12 contests, placing them last in the Western Conference at 11-26. Once again, we're just waiting on Gerald McRath to call in. Just kind of going over a couple different sports news here. Be sure to check out prosportsextra.com for all your sports news. One other thing I wanted to mention, the Jacksonville Jaguars are to sell teal food on Saturday. Literally, I was looking at some of the images, and you can head over to our Facebook page and check out the images of the food. But one of them is a teal burger. And in the image, there's like those little blue fruities, and they're by the burger. So I'm wondering if this is actually going to taste like a fruity burger. Like, that is not going to be a good burger at all. The Jacksonville Jaguars will host their first playoff game at home in 18 years, actually. So, and they're playing against the Buffalo Bills. And Jacksonville posted something, I believe, on social media where they talked about how that the Bills aren't helping them sell tickets, blah, 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 that they're selling tickets that the Bills were supposed to sell, that the Bills players were supposed to take, et cetera, et cetera. And the Bills came back with basically, please give us as many tickets as you want. We'll sell them. We got the best fan base ever. Which, you guys might not be lying. We see each and every week fans jumping through tables. Just a bunch of shit that these Buffalo Bills fans do every day. And then we had last night in college sports, there was a UNC basketball player who went to turn to ref Ted Valentine, and he actually turned his back on him and just kind of stood and looked into the crowd. Something different than we haven't seen here in I don't think I've ever seen a referee actually just turn around completely and just ignore the fact that he's even supposed to be replying to the guy, which, I mean, maybe he's had a long day, but it was a missed foul. And the North Carolina player, he's a senior, which is kind of messed up. Florida State's player, Terrence Mann, yanked his arm, and then the pass sailed beyond his reach for a turnover in a 3-point game. Really, really tough for any team to have to suffer that, especially when a referee, isn't really paying attention, and then you go to kind of plead your case, and he turns around and shows that he won't even listen to you. Kind of weird. And then last night in NBA, we had a few games here. I will pull up these scores here. We are still waiting on Gerald McRath to call into the studio. McRath, if you're listening, please call in 991-3674. We'll just kind of go over, I'll just go over a little bit about McRath. McRath was a Tennessee Titan for a couple of years. He dealt with a couple of off-field incidents with performance-enhancing drugs as soon as he got into the league, really. And then there was an incident. He was a coach for a college team, and they actually found him in his vehicle, passed out drunk, and he got a driving while intoxicated, which caused him to resign immediately after that. And we'll just kind of go over that, and then he says that moment in his life was really the pivotal moment where his life has changed, and life has been a lot better since then. So last night in the NBA, we had the 76ers beat the Spurs 112-106. We had the Wizards beat the Knicks 121-103. We had the Rockets beat the Magic 116-98. We had the Heat beat the Pistons 111-104. We had the Nets beat the Timberwolves 98-97. We had the Raptors beat the Bulls 124-115. We had the Celtics beating the Cavaliers 102-88. The Bucks beating the Pacers 122-101. We had the Warriors beating the Mavericks 125-122. We had the Nuggets beating the Suns 134-111. We had the Pelicans beating the Jazz 108-98, and the Thunder beating the Lakers, like we went over, 133-96. Now fans are asking when will we see the return of Lonzo Ball? Right now, we really have no idea on the aspect of his injury, but according to reports, basically, it could be any game when he comes back. There really hasn't been a report saying that it's going to be a certain time frame. And then we have LaMelo and LiAngelo Ball. They are selling their jerseys for $99 as they went to play basketball. And where did they go? They went to Lithuania, a league there, where everyone says that they're gonna hate it. You know, they're saying that LaMelo is gonna get hit by a screen, he's gonna get taken out. Basically, just a bunch of different things, which kind of makes sense because he should be he either junior or senior in high school. He's supposed to be being homeschooled now. The two players will begin practicing with the team on Friday, so tomorrow they'll make their debuts for the team in a January 9th home game against Baltic League opponent to smoke. I ain't even going to try and say the name. They just want to find a spot to shoot and work out tomorrow. Their father, LeVar Ball, told reporters. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go over Gerald McRath. I'm going to try calling him in here to the studio here in a second. We're just going to kind of go over the Gerald McRath introduction and our intro one more time, and we should have Gerald McRath in the studio. Thanks.
On today's podcast, we'll have Gerald McRath in the studio. McRath played 4 seasons for the NFL's Tennessee Titans. As a linebacker, he recorded 120 tackles in his career. We'll talk to McRath about how he overcame his depression problems and how what most would consider a nightmare, the event that actually turned his life around, starting now.
From the training facility to the field with ability, athletes are working hard, the progression is stressing, people are set some of the passing. The smell of the grass and the pain and the action, the focus of passion, the thought of the plaque and the trophy all made out to your name. It's some money, it's a fame, it's a feeling to get when you're playing the game. What's the number on their back and the representing name? It's MJ playing way back in the day, it's glory, it's scoring. This is a story, this is Sports Nation, it's been this way for generations. Pro Sports Extras, where I get my information. Athletes with their pursuits and endeavors, sports will entertain the whole world. It'll be this way forever. And for more of that, we going live to Trevor, the expert.
Hey guys, we are still waiting on McRath to call into the studio. But right now we're just going to hop into some more NFL news. Bill Belichick reminds Patriots not to be late to practice as a major snowstorm looms. If you actually see the video, it is terrible. Basically, there is a crazy storm happening by their field, and Bill Belichick wants players to remember not to be late. I really don't think they needed to tell players not to be late. But it is a wicked blizzard. They did practice indoors, but they did have to run outside to get to the practice field, from what video showed anyway. So, yeah, basically, there hasn't been too much going on in the sports world. But till McRath calls in, I'm going to hop over to kind of my Super Bowl prediction, who I have winning, and it might actually surprise you. I have the Minnesota winning the Super Bowl this year. At their fancy new stadium where the Super Bowl will actually be held, if they do end up winning, they'll be the first team to ever play in their own stadium during a Super Bowl, and the first team to ever win it, obviously. At their fancy new stadium, the Vikings have a 7-1 record, having not allowed any of their opponents to score more than 19 points. Overall, they have the number one scoring defense. They have given up the fewest touchdown passes with 13. They have allowed just over 4.5 yards per play and just 3.7 yards per carry. Case Keenum on the offensive side has been awesome. He has been. We are talking to McRath right now. Give us 1 second. Let's see if he is called into the studio yet. He has not. He is sending over a text as we speak. But Case Keenum basically is the second in QBR behind Carson Wentz. He is an extremely talented wide receiver. And then, he has an extremely talented wide receiver in Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Keenum has a wonderful tight end that he can throw to in Kyle Rudolph, who leads the team with 8 touchdown grabs. And then, if you think about it, Dalvin Cook tore his ACL this year at the beginning of the season, and he was looking awesome. All right, McRath said he is calling in right now, so we will be going live with him anytime. We have 12 minutes left here on this show. We're very glad. We're going to be doing these shows each and every day. It might not always be me. It might be Austin, Yari, different members of the Pro Sports Extra group. And it's really going to be a great aspect for us to be on iTunes, being able to interview more athletes. We'll have McRath here on for about 10 minutes, asking them a couple questions, maybe who he thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. He's actually trying to call me right now, so hang on. I got to send him over the number again. All right, yep, just sent him over the number. Sorry about that, guys. First show, always technical difficulties, which, happens. So once again, Gerald McRath. McRath played 4 seasons for the Tennessee Titans. He recorded 120 tackles in his career. We'll talk to McRath about how he has overcame his depression problems and how what most would consider a nightmare, the event that actually turned his life around. He's still trying to call me. We might have to reschedule this interview. We're not 100% sure right now. He does have the other number, so we are just basically waiting on him to call in. But we only have 10 minutes left here on iTunes and Blog Talk Radio. I'm not too sure how long we can actually go after our 30 minutes is up. We have McRath hopping in here right now. Hey, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you on the show. We got about 10 minutes left, so I'm just going to jump into a couple of questions, basically about your career as a Tennessee Titan. and basically how you've been now, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Oh, sounds good.
So, alrighty, sweet. So the first question I have for you is, when did you really start to pursue football?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
When did you start to pursue football?
Probably start. I want to say that 5. When I was 5, maybe a little bit younger. 4. I was playing in the backyard and stuff like that. But 5 is when I first started to play organized football, pee-wee, is what we call it in Georgia. But definitely played before then, when I was 4, but not with pads or anything like that.
Right. That's still crazy because I live in Michigan in like the UP part, so like basically we're in Canada. And we you can start playing football, like tackle football in 7th grade. You can't play any time before that.
Oh yeah, no. I was playing tackle football around when I was 4 without pads.
Wow.
I remember my dad telling me, I think I was in the 6th grade, and we would be playing sandlot football, and something he told me was like, it's something that you seriously want to do. You can't be out in the backyard playing sandlot football, tackling without pads and stuff. So,
what other sports? Did you play any other sports during high school?
I sure did. I played baseball. Baseball was my first sport I ever played. Baseball in high school, my 9th grade year, and then I stopped and started to run track, and then I wrestled for 4 years in high school. My team actually, we won state back to back, and I took 4th my junior year.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So why did you choose to attend Southern Miss?
To be honest with you, man, there was an awesome running back at my high school that I played with. We were the same year, and man, it was just like you're always in somebody else's shadow, and it's like offensive players always get the glory. And I mean, I went down to Southern Miss. It was total opposite. I mean, first thing I saw was a billboard of Rod Davis, who played middle linebackers like Playboy All-American and All-American middle linebacker for Southern Miss. And it's like, man, wow, these fans, they actually come for the defense. And so, I wanted to be a part of that history and that tradition at Southern Miss. So, I mean, it was almost like a no-brainer once you stepped on the campus and that atmosphere and you saw them play and the way that they played on defense.
Right. Point did you realize during your college career that, you'll be able to play professional football?
You know what? I don't think that was something that I ever realized. It was one of the, I've always, I just play the game just for the love of it. Never looked beyond where I was at the moment. I always tried to live in the moment. My freshman year, try to come in and learn what I needed to learn. The next year from there, build on that. And, you know what? I got my degree in coaching and sports administration. I knew that I wanted to be around football. So even if, football ended for me, I'll still be doing it in some capacity. And I really, to be honest with you, I was just playing the game, just trying to win games with my teammates and enjoy the time that I had in college, because you never know. It's nothing's never guaranteed. And so I don't think that it really dawned on me until maybe the combine.
Okay.
It's like, wow, this is really happening.
Right.
I tested, I'm actually testing real well. That's the first time you actually can see yourself go up against, others in your same position, and kind of see some results. So it was just one of those crazy things.
Right. Okay, so let's go back to draft day. What was really going through your head? When did you realize that the Titans were going to pick you? And really, what was your family's reaction?
Oh, my God. So the draft, the 2009 draft, that's when they changed it to where they did the first 3 rounds, for the first 2 rounds, and then the rest of the rounds the second day, which I think was is the most awfulest thing you can possibly do, because it's like the first day you don't go, and you just like, oh my God, like you're in shock. And so,
right.
I had no idea. To be honest with you, I tell people all the time, I didn't even know the Titans were interested in me. To be honest with you, I remember meeting with Fisher and everybody at the combine, but I didn't think I was their guy. And so, just sitting around draft day, you just want that opportunity.
Right.
You're not looking for a handout or anything like that. You just want an opportunity to prove yourself.
Right.
And I think that's what anybody can ask for. And if you're a college player, you understand the process, and you understand that there are so many people out there that are looking for that same opportunity that you're looking for, and to grab a spot. It's very precious and valuable. Something that
right.
you really appreciate.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna switch it over a little bit. Who's your all-time favorite teammate?
College, high school, college, pros.
Pros.
Oh wow. A few of them. David Thornton. I would have to say, man, David Thornton, when I came in, he was the starting outside linebacker at the Titans. He really mentored me on what it took to be an NFL linebacker, if that makes sense. Tricks and tips, and walk me along the way. David had some problem with tip, and I remember he sat out one game, and it was my first start against the 49ers. Just coming on the sideline and talking to me and just calming me down and just helping me out. It was awesome. It was almost like having a big brother. I look at him as a big brother, but I have to say David.
He was drafted by the Colts, right?
Yep, he was drafted by the Colts.
Okay.
He actually walked on to UNC.
So recently I actually read a blog. I believe that you wrote it, and it talked a little bit about depression and overcoming it. Would you be willing to kind of touch on that?
Yeah, sure. What parts would you like me to hit? It's a whole bunch.
Right. Basically how maybe if you're talking to a younger generation with social media and stuff, and how depression really hurts a lot of people, what would you say to maybe a 15 to 18-year-old that's struggling with depression?
I say it's common. It's common, and I think it's more common than what we as a society would like to give credit for. Everybody deals with it. But the thing is, everybody deals with it differently. You just don't want it to overtake you and overcome you. But it's nothing that's out the norm. And it's something that definitely you can overcome from and reach new heights. So, whatever you may be going through then, it may seem super, super, super huge, but in the long run, man, if you keep leveled and know what you're really looking for, and are willing to be open and transparent to allow others to help you, really can reach new heights and learn a little bit more about yourself. I think things that you do to be a great athlete, they don't work with overcoming depression. And actually, it's like a counterattack. It's almost like you're feeding it. When you're taught to be tough and not to show weakness and stuff like that, you almost have to do the total opposite. you're facing
Right.
those situations. I mean, like I said, at the end, you know, when you look back and you went through that, and you actually become a little bit stronger, a little bit more self-aware of yourself.
All right. Well, I think that's about all the time we have right now. Thank you so much for calling in. It was great having you, and look forward to having you on again in the future.
Oh, without a doubt.
All right, thank you a lot, and talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you guys. You guys have a good one.
You too. All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for our first episode here on the PSE Podcast Network. Thank you a lot, Gerald McRath, for hopping on. Thank you guys for listening. You can download. You can subscribe on iTunes. Thank you, guys. Peace out.
What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Shopping like a CEO? My, look at those savings.
Right now at Staples, save like a big cheese, a big shot, a boss. Because this week, when you buy one expanding file folder, you get a second one 40% off.
Those are boss-size savings.
So start the new year right by stocking up, saving big, and getting organized.
At Staples, where there's a whole lot in store.
Ends 2/2/19, in-store only, valid on select assorted SKUs.